So I want to dive in, and I want every restorer by the end of this podcast to walk away with tactical advice on how they can leverage their brand to make the boogeyman go away. In our industry right now, part of restorers are just saying, hey, let's sign this piece of paper and I'll bill your insurance company, right? And that's kind of like the industry standard. And what I think needs to happen is in restoration needs to evolve into retail, where we actually ask the customer for the money up front, we finance them, and we kind of shift the power away from the boogeyman, the insurance company, so that way we don't get beat down and such. And I think the way to do that is to stop this sea of sameness and have the companies that do choose to go down that route build stronger brands, be the first to the customer, because at the end of the day, between the local restorer and State Farm, the local restorer is going to earn more trust of the homeowner than State Farm would ever would.
One of the most challenging things for restorers is a lot of them are already overworked. They're already hustling. They're really hard workers, but there's so much time spent on like cold calls and like getting back to customers and invoice and actually doing the job. So a lot of them are spending time on being the technician, as opposed to they're like, I don't have time. If you want the best sales guys and women on the planet, build a better brand.
Welcome everybody to the Albee After Hours podcast, where we talk about propelling restoration forward. I'm your host, Alex Duda. Today I've got a good friend of mine, Bijal Patel, here in beautiful San Diego. How's it going?
It's going awesome, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you just got off stage pouring into our crowd here at the Restoration Mastermind. That was really badass. Thanks for doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an incredible room that you've built. Like the passion that's in the room, the values, and just the higher level thinking of where you're going to be building this many restoration millionaires. I'm just like pumped about that. I love that.
Really appreciate that. So I want to dive into a very special topic that I think you're going to be really good at explaining. But as you know, in restoration, we've got this boogeyman, and the boogeyman is the fucking insurance company that beats us down on our bills, and they've been doing a bunch of interesting parts of the industry. And I think that brand could be the antidote to that boogeyman. So I want to dive in, and I want every restorer by the end of this podcast to walk away with tactical advice on how they can leverage their brand to make the boogeyman go away. Does that sound like something you can help with?
Absolutely. I would love nothing more than to crush this boogeyman once and for all and create more restoration millionaires.
Awesome. But before that, I think everyone's wondering, who in the world is Bijal and why is she here? So let's dive into your story. Just kind of, your early days, how you got into entrepreneurship, and then why you're so passionate about brand and marketing.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Well, my parents immigrated here from India, and I think that's a key part of the story, especially when we think about like who are restorers, like where do they come from? And there is a lot of people who have a similar story, whether they immigrated or their parents did, but my dad came here with $8 and a dream.
Oh, wow.
And the last thing on the planet was for me to be anything related to branding or design, so that's exactly what I did. So my story of entrepreneurship is absolutely accidental. I got fired from a really well-paying job, and I just had enough. I was done working for the man in corporate America. I was doing commercial interior design for 13 years by that point in time. I had won multiple awards. I've worked with all commercial. So I have, some idea of restoration in the space, but I worked on the design side. So I did commercial office spaces, did companies, big Fortune 500 companies, like Bank of America, Johnson & Johnson, CBRE, like actual household names that you knew. But the hustle that it took to get up in a company for something I was passionate about and loved didn't make sense, because I was never going to get the freedom or the ownership of having my own company. So after I got fired, I was just like, I'm done. I'm not going to have anybody else ever tell me what to do.
You're going to be your own boss.
Be my own boss. And I literally fell into it on accident. I would have never picked it. And now looking back, it's been 7 years since I joined entrepreneurship on accident. I can't picture it any other way. I don't know how I had a boss before. Yeah.
So what'd you pick? What'd you fall into?
So I did, I had done interior design, commercial interior design for a while. So I decided I would fix the industry by having my own company. So I started Launch. in 2019. And in our first year, we hit 6 figures, which is a lot for an interior design company where there's no cost of goods sold. It was a really sweet P&L, and I just hired an architect. And but what happened after that first year is I still felt this level of I'd be really successful in this thing I was once passionate about, but I didn't have any more passion for it. And you know, something I like to share with people that's true for my story is that you're allowed to have a new dream. You know, you're allowed to have a new dream. And so having done 13 years of work with Fortune 500 companies, I learned a ton accidentally about brand. So you'll hear in my story, there's a lot of accidents that showed up as opportunities. So if anyone's listening and you're like, I don't even know how I ended up here, or this is not what I was really planning to do, I take that as a God sign at this point in time. Like I was divinely crafted to do this. And so I had paid so much attention to brand, and it was 2020. COVID had just hit. Commercial interior design was tanking because nobody was in office spaces. No one wanted to pay for that. So I was determined to bring interior design online. So I joined a mastermind. I was like, I'm going to help people with their home offices so they don't have ergonomic issues, you know, during COVID. Like, I'm going to turn their playroom into an office. And so this was one of those things where everyone said, great idea. And yet no one bought. Like no one, not even one. I didn't sell one package, you know? I was like, my brother was interested. He's like, I think you're doing great. I was like, okay. He's like, how much is it? I was like, $500. He's like, and I'm like, okay, cool. Do you want to do it? He's like, oh, I don't actually need it. I just wanted to like support you. I'll just give you the $500. I was like, no, thank you. So when I was in the middle of doing that, I found this whole online space of branding. And I realized the small business owners and entrepreneurs knew absolutely nothing about brand. So that's when I got into it online and realized that like, wow, these people need brand because this is going to be the way that they can build a relationship with their audience so they get warm leads consistently and they continue to grow without ever spending money on ads or ever having their version of a boogeyman.
Oh, interesting and powerful. And you've worked throughout multiple industries from what I know, from roofing to influencers to interior design. So across the spectrum.
Yeah, so we've done roofers, martial arts, chiropractors, plastic surgeons, med spas, coaches, and consultants, because every single one of them need a personal brand. And it's really cool to see the restoration industry respecting the fact that when you do bring the personal brand on board and you start to be able to build your own audience, the leads that you get, and you know this, you preach this, is when you get the first touch on the customer, they're going to stay loyal to you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get bypassed. There's no insurance company to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's incredible to see that happening in this space.
So to frame up our conversation here as we dive into brand, let me give you a little even more context. And I know we haven't prepped for this or whatnot, so I'm really excited to see what happens out of here. But restorers traditionally, well, first of all, data point number one is every restoration company looks the same. Right? So if you go to a website, you'll see every single restoration company, BBVA plus rated, 24/7 emergency response, yada, yada, yada. So when every single company looks the same, if you come to a customer with a different type of offering that's different from the industry, that customer is not going to perceive the additional value. So in our industry right now, part of restorers are just saying, hey, let's sign this piece of paper and I'll bill your insurance company, right? And that's kind of like the industry standard. And what I think needs to happen is in restoration needs to evolve into retail where we actually ask the customer for the money up front, we finance them, and we kind of shift the power away from the boogeyman, the insurance company, so that we don't get beat down and such. And I think the way to do that is to stop this sea of sameness and have the companies that do choose to go down that route build stronger brands, be the first to the customer, because at the end of the day, between the local restorer and State Farm, the local restorer is going to earn more trust of the homeowner than State Farm would ever would. So how do we unpack this, or what does a restorer need to do to build a strong enough brand to where they could use that as leverage to make their lives easier and kill the boogeyman? What do you think?
I love that. I think that's the absolute play. I think that the restorers who are listening to this now and are like, wow, that resonates because I want to get rid of this boogeyman. I want to get rid of somebody who's got their hand in my pocket and is touching my customer first. I think it's the playbook of who is going to end up being a millionaire, a multimillionaire, and have a solid exit as a company, right? And so in order to be able to do this, I think one of the most challenging things for restorers is a lot of them are already overworked. They're already hustling. They're really hard workers. Like they're absolutely integrous and like want to do a good job. But there's so much time spent on like cold calls and like getting back to customers and invoice and actually doing the job. So a lot of them are spending time on being the technician as opposed to they're like, I don't have time. Like Alex, Bijal, what do you mean? How am I going to have time to actually do this? So what I like to do is downsize what the ask is. So let's reframe it. Instead of like, what do you need to do to have a strong brand? Well, that sounds so intimidating. You would have never even started a restoration company if you were to ask somebody, what are you going to do to have an 8-figure restoration company with like 4.9 reviews and there needs to be 5,000 reviews on Google My Business? I
don't know.
Oh my God, I don't even know if I want to do that,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Like I'd rather just work for the man.
Yep.
So they didn't start their company with this pie to the sky expectation, which creates an enormous fear of failure.
Okay.
Instead, they were like, you know what? Got into it, and my guy told me about it. I needed a job, or my dad did it, or whatever. Somehow
Make more money out of this than I could do in my day job. So the first goal is like, hey, make $1,000 a week from this instead.
Let me ask you a question. What 5-year-old puts "I want to be a restorer" on there when I grow up homework?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Like everyone fell into this industry, and you guys know this. I mean, I definitely didn't know I wanted to be a brand person or brand strategist. My parents still are like, Bijal, but you went to school for interior design and computer science. What is branding? They're like, they believe because I don't have a documented piece of paper that I am highly unqualified to teach this. And it's actually true. My lack of qualification of paperwork actually is my unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And I think that's true about restorers. I think it's their unfair advantage that they didn't have this big pipe dream. They fell into it and they just kept putting one foot in front of the next. So that is the concept that we're going to apply to social media. And I've got this really simple 1-1-1 rule. And anyone can start this. And I promise you this, it will not take you more than 10 minutes a day. You are allowed to set a timer and be like Bijal said, it was only going to be 10 minutes a day. I prefer it in the morning. So habit stack it to something you do in the morning, somewhere between 8 and 10 a.m. your time. Pick one platform. Use your personal profile. Yes, I said personal profile. I know you have a restoration page, not that page. It doesn't get enough reach. Your personal page. And every single day, make a post. So whether that is a written post because you're not going to catch me on video, or if you're somebody who prefers to talk and you would prefer to do that, okay, great. You can use the captions app, Opus AI, whatever you want. You could just open up Instagram and use its native app and put the captions on if you use Reels and just post once a day. That's it. And when people comment, go back, heart it, and then respond back to the comment. That's the only thing you need to do. So it takes about 5 or 7 minutes to do the post, and then at the beginning, it'll maybe take 0 minutes to see.
To respond, yeah.
So just do it every single day, and that is the simplest way to take somebody from a restorer that I'm too busy, I don't have time to do this, to plant the seeds of what will eventually become a consistent brand. So instead of saying a strong brand, which I'm just not a fan of, I would like to see more people use their voice to get their passion out into the world, to get their, in this sea of sameness. I love that you call it that, the sea of sameness. Every restorer I've met at your conference so far is very, very precise on what they do differently.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we do this way better. Oh, we're way faster at this. We actually care. Hey, have you actually seen what our team is like? There's so much nuance and amazing reputation that they have, but the only people who know that is them.
Yeah.
So it's a platform to not only get more clients and get more customers, it's also that you get a better team. So if you want the best sales guys and women on the planet, build a better brand using the 1-1-1.
Interesting. A key example that I think we both intimately know is your husband, right? So kind of transitioning. Most plastic surgeons, from what I understand, they go and if you're a doctor, you go and get in bed with the insurance companies, right?
Yeah.
And you start doing whatever type services, you build the insurance company, but then you run into all these pains as a doctor, I would imagine, of like the insurance company beating you up, the medical coding that needs to happen and stuff like that. So from my understanding, your husband started out as a surgeon that was billing insurance, and now he runs a very successful practice that's all cash pay. We're talking about $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 ticket sizes of, I don't know if this would be disrespectful, but not like they're not all like super urgently needed services, right? They're like an enhancement kind of service.
Yeah.
So how did brand play into that at all, and how was he able to shift from being dominated by insurance to not?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, he started out because his soul was in the reconstructive work. And we learned really early on that like, it's great. Like it is so gratifying to be able to help women with breast cancer. But the issue was, Alex, he would do cases that are properly needing to be billed at 50K, 70K, or 100K because these are 14-hour surgeries. Because he's double board certified, he'd actually remove the breast, remove the cancer, and then put back in because you have to replace it. Otherwise, you end up with just an indented chest, which would absolutely break a woman's sense of self and beauty. And so he would put implants back in to actually reconstruct. You know, here we are talking about restoration. It was a restoration of the body. And he was uniquely qualified to do these 14-hour cases. And by the time you look at the team and the anesthesia, that can be up to $100,000 case. You know how many of those cases he'd get paid on?
Very few.
1 in 4.
Wow.
25%. So imagine.
So he'd eat the rest?
He would eat the rest. He would do.
He would personally have to eat
He
the
would
rest.
14-hour days, and the insurance company would refuse to pay. And then out of the 1 to 4 that actually paid, you'd have to take a lawyer, go fight a legal battle, and they would take anywhere like Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare would take 3 to 6 months, up to 1 year to pay out.
Wow.
And sometimes they just reduce the amount on you. So
he simply just said, fuck the boogeyman?
He just said, fuck the boogeyman, and he had to really check in with himself and his soul to say, can I do elective surgery and like let this go? And what he realized is elective surgery for a lot of people is also a need. Like people don't feel confident. They don't feel good in their body. And if you don't feel good in your body, you're not going to be as powerful as your potential is. So he shifted his focus, went all to cash pay. And then now with that cash pay, guess what? He still can do the breast case. He can still do that kind of surgery and not have to worry about whether he gets paid or not paid.
Wow.
He can just do it as
A cash
volunteer.
pay or volunteer?
He could do it as volunteer if he wanted. He can do it for the very minimum that it costs and not have to worry or be stressed if insurance doesn't pay him. But that is the shift that is so similar to what's happening in restoration is the insurance man, this boogeyman, is the middleman. And you know the middleman is always the one who ends up eating the most of it. And the restoration people, just like my husband, needed to be able to claim their own cash. Like you deserve having your own cash. And it has completely changed his practice around. It's been amazing.
So the key things that he had to do was, one, believe that he could do it, right? Like there was this overcoming self-limiting belief of, like this is the only way I know doctors operate. Like, will a patient pay me $20,000 in cash to go reconstruct them, right?
Yeah.
Was probably the first thing. And then the second thing is, like, how was he able to build a brand to differentiate himself against everybody else so that way he could actually do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. His first limiting belief was what you said, but it was also that soul level, could I do it? And I think that's a great question to ask yourself as you're listening to this podcast is, what holds me back from wanting to post on social media? Like, is it the fear of judgment? Is it I'm waiting for it to be perfect? Like, what are the feelings that come up there? And for him, he was feeling like he was selling out. He thought he was selling out from moving from reconstructive into elective surgery. And I know that with a lot of restoration people, it can also feel like, oh, am I just trying to be like an influencer, you know, which is kind of like a bad term, you know, it kind of sounds like you're a showboaty, you know, you need to brag. And that's a limiting belief that you could absolutely be on social media and humble flex, as I call it, without showing off. But to answer your question about, he had to build the brand, and he built it small steps, just one brick at a time. He started to put out his content on a regular basis. Then it got better little by little because the consistency forces the quality to get better. It isn't waiting for a production crew or looking at somebody like Alex Harmozy and saying, oh, it's got to be. He didn't start like this either, by the way. His videos were trash at the beginning. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Just scroll back to every influencer, whoever it is, Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell, Grant Cardone, whatever. Just go to the bottom and just see their early videos. Like very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the best things I like is like if you put on a reel and you see, okay, 10 people viewed it. But look at 10 people in a room who listened to you.
100%.
It's just so much bigger than what the actual impact is. But it was the brand that allowed him the buyout from this boogeyman. Wow. That's really what it ended up doing.
Yeah, and that's my dream for the industry. And there's an emerging type of restorer. Like, I don't know if you met Sean in the back of the room, but like he literally did $2 million of revenue within the Tampa market. 95% of it was cash pay. So he didn't have to deal with, he's like, what insurance boogeyman? Like, there's none of this. So I think more restorers need to, one, believe that they can, if they feel called to this. Like, some restorers will say, hey, look, I'm still in TPA land. I'm really good at it, whatever. Okay, great. You stay in TPA land. Like, you don't have to change anything. But for those restorers that are truly feeling the pain points of cash flow, of getting beat up by the insurance company and such, all you have to do is say, look, I just don't want them to have power over me or leverage over me. Well, how do you make them not have power or leverage over you? Well, it's two things. One is get the customer to actually trust you and not trust the insurance company. And then two, like, layer in some sort of financing component or something to make the sale easy. And if you nail those two, you'll be able to get rid of the boogeyman. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I love the fact that like retail restoration is a thing. Retail like restorers are a thing. And we're just going to see more and more and more of that because it's not only getting rid of the boogeyman, it's also looking at the other side. The customer who comes to you because they've already known about you, they've been watching your content, that is a beautiful person to serve. It's called organic sales, but it is warm. They know you. You have similar values. They're a joy to work with. They leave glowing testimonials. They're like, do you need a video testimonial? I can do that too. I can also write one. Oh, I'm going to send my whole neighborhood to you. I've got a bunch of friends. And so it makes business so much worthwhile because the relationships create a completely different customer. It is your ideal customer. So that's number one. And number two is, I mean, cold sales is about the hardest thing anyone can do. I mean, I think you've got to be like a Navy SEAL, literally, to be able to do that. And to move and slowly shift someone from having to do and have their team do cold sales into getting some warm leads. Having someone approach you and be like, hey, I saw you online. I watched a few of your videos. I was just wondering if you could help me with this thing. You know, that's a really cool place to be. And then watch yourself grow and be able to leave a legacy. Because listen, a lot of these restorers, this is not their only thing. They might have another business. They might have something else going on. And so they're going to want to use this personal brand eventually to branch out and do more than one thing. So it is an investment in yourself because you're going to be the you for the rest of your life.
100%. Yeah, in the short run, you're leveraging your personal brand to bring fire victims to you or bring plumbers to you, agents, property managers to refer you work. But in the long run, you know, let's say in the future you broaden up outside of restoration. And now, I don't know, you're really passionate about a movement, right, or a charity or whatever. Like, now all those plumbers, property managers, homeowners, everybody that's following you because of restoration, now you could go use that audience to make another movement, whether it's breast cancer awareness or whether it's I want to write a book about something or whatnot. So
exactly. Or it could even be related to the field where it's like, oh, hey, I started this company in restoration, but now I'm into real estate investment.
Exactly.
So there might be some similarities between like the developers and property, or hey, I got into Airbnbs and I got a couple of duplexes. I want to keep these puppies rented out. So like or you know, maybe they're into fitness, you know? So there's a lot of different ways that people want to be known for more than just one thing. And this gives a perfect platform for people to be able to do it in a time-sensitive way where it's not going to take too much of their time.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this with our audience. I know we were surface level and tactical, which is great because I want people to walk away with, hey, like, let me at least start looking into the brand, start posting, start at least consistently doing that. I also feel like there's a deeper level And I would encourage all of our listeners, if they want to go deep or deeper, to reach out to you, right? You'd be willing to help them.
Yep.
So where could people find you if they wanted to find you?
Well, I'm personal brand, so find me on social media.
Awesome.
It's Bijal. I'm sure I'll give you the links with Bijal. It's at bijal.launch. And the links will be, I'm sure, in the episode. Or you can check out our website at welaunch.design. One of the things that I think is the most tactical that makes sense is seeing when anytime anybody goes to our website, they're like, oh, I get it, you know, and to be able to understand that even at a very basic level, like in the sea of sameness, let's help you be in a category of one. Let's make you the category king or queen.
That's huge.
That's our goal. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Alex, I have to say, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You are so impressive. Like your level of talent, the systems, the knowledge that you gave to this room. I'm like taking notes I have like pages of notes while you're speaking.
Thank you.
I'm texting my husband, who we're all friends, and we're friends with Laura, your wife, is beautiful, smart, sassy. I love her. And it's this room you've put together. The restorers here, they are so psyched that when I asked them the question, where do you play in your business? Every single one of them said here at the Evolve Mastermind. So I just really have to give you a hat tip. Thank you for having me. Absolutely. But I'm just so, I'm so proud of seeing what you've built. It's incredible.
Thank you so
People
much.
should check out this room, 100%.
Let's do that in the show notes too. We'll drop the Evolve Restoration Mastermind down there, and Joe could add it to the show notes. Great. But awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.